My name is Mary Hogan, and I was born in Newton in 1914, and I have lived in Newton all my life.
Okay, it's working now, we know that. Okay, you want to tell me about where you grew up and everything here?
I have always lived in Newton Upper Falls. I went to the Newton schools, graduated from Newton High. And I went on to college, and then eventually I came back to Newton to teach school in the elementary grades.
And where did you go to college?
I went to college at Hyannis State.
On the Cape?
On the Cape, a state teachers college.
Did you enjoy that a lot?
I loved it.
Did you?
Of all the places in the state to be, Hyannis was the greatest.
What did you study when you were in college?
Elementary education.
Mm-hmm.
I was certified to teach grades 1 through 6.
And then you said that you went, earlier you told me that you went to Vermont for 2 years, right, to teach?
When I first graduated from college, teaching jobs were very, very scarce in 1936. So I took a job in Vermont, teaching in a one-room school. So I accepted a job in Vermont in a one-room schoolhouse. I had all 8 grades in one room.
Oh my gosh. And was it a big class?
No, very small. I had 3 brothers, one in grade 1, one in grade 2, one in grade 3, and his uncle in grade 6.
How old was the uncle?
6th grader. You know, how old is the 6th grader?
Oh my gosh.
11, 10, 11, 12, I don't know.
That's amazing. So did you enjoy teaching in Vermont?
It was an experience, let's put it that way, for somebody from the city of Newton to go in a small little town and live in a boarding house with all the other teachers, and it was a village school. Second year I got promoted from the top of the mountain to the village school. And then my 3rd year of teaching I came to the city of Newton to teach.
Were the teachers nice there?
What?
That you worked with at the village school?
Oh, great. We had a wonderful.
Did you like living in the boarding house?
I loved it.
You did? Was it really close to the school?
Yes, I was used to dormitory living, so I did a lot of things up there that I had never done, like snowshoeing and going to sugaring off parties during maple sugar season, when they would have these big parties when the maple sugar was ready to be boiled, and things that you would never think of doing if you lived in the city of Newton.
Oh, that's neat, though. So then you came back to Newton and you taught in a Newton grade school?
Right.
Which school was that?
That was the Burr School in Auburndale, which is no longer in existence. It has been torn down, and the site has been made into senior citizen condominiums. Oh. So the Burr School no longer exists. And then I taught also in the Franklin School in West Newton. I resigned at that point to be married. I think I taught in the city 5 years.
And then how many children do you have?
3.
Are they girls or boys or?
I have 2 older girls and my son, a boy, my son.
And are they all in different places?
Right. Jane, the oldest girl, is a college professor outside the State University of New York in Rochester, New York. Ann is department head of a junior high in Fullerton, California. And Bill has recently moved from Sacramento, California, back to Newton.
Oh, that's good. That's nice. And then what did your husband do?
My husband was a business agent for the Somerville School Department. He was purchasing anything to do with money connected with the school department.
And was he born in Somerville?
He was born in Cambridge.
Born in Cambridge and then worked in Somerville.
Right.
I see. Do you think that the teaching has changed since you were teaching before you were married?
Oh, I'm sure it has.
A lot?
I'm sure it is.
Do you think that it's less strict, there's more freedom? Or?
I think there's a lot more freedom, but I also, I think the kids are much more vocal than they used to be, and I think naturally television has opened up the world for them. They're so much more aware than they used to be.
That's true.
Much more sophisticated, much more aware.
Would you do anything in the summertime after school that was out? Would you substitute teach, or would you vacation, or what would you do?
I would take a few summer courses.
Mm-hmm.
And, no, I don't think I really worked.
And then would you go to the Cape for a few weeks?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, that must be nice. That's such a pretty area. Were you happy with your working conditions as a teacher?
On the whole, on the most part, because all teachers never think they make enough money, so...
Mm-hmm. So that was one thing that you would say?
Right.
Well, one complaint.
Right.
Did you drive, or how did you get to work?
We drove.
You drove?
Yes, yeah.
Do you recall any events between 1920 and 1950 that affected local businesses or working conditions where you were, or not even necessarily where you were?
Well, I remember very vividly the building of Route 9.
Uh-huh. Which is right across the street from your house.
Right, in 1932 and 33.
Mm-hmm.
And that was quite a engineering feat at that time to build Route 9, because it was not high like it is now. We used to be able to run right across the street. And of course, it did away with trolley car tracks at each place.
Oh, yeah.
There was a trolley that ran from Boston to Worcester.
Oh, my gosh.
It was the trolley car run from Boston to Worcester. And if we wanted to go to Boston, we would just go down to the corner and wait for the trolley car to come along, and the trolley car would take you right into Boston.
How long did it take to build Route 9? A long time?
Oh, I would say at least 2 years, maybe longer.
That must have been kind of messy since you lived so close to it.
Yeah.
You said that your mother, this house is your mother's house?
Right.
How old is it?
Well, the deed has been traced back to 1809.
Oh, that's right. I saw that sign out on the front of the house that says circa 1800, right?
Right.
It's really such a pretty house.
And my mother bought it in 1927 for $2,500.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Oh boy. That's unbelievable. Do you think that the Depression affected work in your community, or affected you in any way at all?
I don't think it affected me personally. I know we had very little money to spend. I mean, you would think twice before you'd buy an ice cream soda, or your money was tight, but yet you didn't feel deprived, really.
Uh-huh.
But I'm sure the Depression, here in Newton Upper Falls, there were mills. There were different kinds of, there was a silk mill and different kinds of mills here in Upper Falls. I'm not sure the people that worked there must have been affected by the Depression. I really myself don't have any great, I'm sure money was tight with my parents, but I didn't realize it,
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you mean. What do you think about World War II? Did a lot of people have to leave? A lot of the men?
Oh, yes. I'm sure a lot of them did.
Did your husband go?
Yes, my husband went.
How long did he have to go for?
2.5 or 3 years. I should know exactly, but I don't. Because we were married during the war.
Oh, I see. And then where was he?
he was in Alabama for a while when we were married, and then after we were married, he was sent overseas. He was in England and France.
Oh my gosh. What do you do for leisure, Mrs. Hogan?
Well, I do a lot of things for leisure.
Are you active in the community?
I'm very active in my church. I belong to the church guild, and I'm very active in my church. And I go to aerobics, senior citizen aerobics, twice a week.
Oh my gosh.
And I belong to a very active senior citizen group here in Newton Upper Falls. And I play bridge, and I belong to 2 women's clubs.
Oh boy, you are so active.
And I travel to see my daughters in California and Rochester, New York, frequently.
Uh-huh.
And I just keep on very busy.
Oh my gosh, you sound really busy. So do you enjoy all your activities?
If I had more money, I'd travel all the time.
You would? But you do travel to see your children quite a bit?
I was out to California last May.
Oh boy.
I just got back from Rochester, New York this weekend.
Do you think that your interests in leisure have changed over your lifetime, or do you think that
No.
you still have the same interests?
No, I'm very interested in sports.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I always was interested in sports, but I would rather sit and watch the Bruins or the Celtics than a movie on television.
Really?
Yes, I still enjoy it, and I enjoy swimming a lot too.
Uh-huh. Do you entertain at all? Do you like to cook?
I love to. Love to read recipes, cookbooks, and I do a lot of entertaining.
Do you? Do you attend? Do you go to parties much of other people? Do many of
If
your
I'm
friends?
invited.
Well, do many of your friends entertain?
If I'm invited, sure.
They do entertain, though, a lot of your friends?
I would say not as much as I, but
Uh-huh. And you were telling me before that a lot of the people that are in these groups have lived here their whole lives also.
yes, and particularly in Newton Upper Falls, it seems to be a group that has not migrated much beyond Upper Falls or the city of Newton. So many people that were born here still live here in their same house that their parents had before them.
I think that's very unusual, don't you?
I do.
Because I know that since I'm graduating this year, that I know most of my friends, well, some may, but not very many, I don't think will go back.
That's
You know, I think I'm from Washington, so I think it's possible that I would go back there, but the friends of mine that are from smaller parts, I think would much prefer to stay in Boston or maybe go to New York or Washington or something like that.
That's right.
I think that is unusual that I think it's...
Now, I'm talking about the people in my age group.
No, I see.
I'm not talking about the people, my daughter and son.
No, yeah, I see what you're saying. That's what I'm saying,
I'm talking
though.
about the people in my age
Uh-huh.
group.
That really is interesting, though. What do you think of your community government?
On the whole, I think Newton is a very good place to live. I think it does well by its citizens on the whole. And
Do you think it's an active community?
I think people are very aware in this city. And there are a lot of really intelligent, interested, vocal people in the city.
Have there been any issues that have come up recently that you've been interested in or concerned about?
Well, I think one of the big issues now is zoning and rezoning, and zoning for proper use. And they have just passed a moratorium on not allowing them to build large office buildings, particularly sticking them in where it's almost a residential like bordering on a residential area.
Mm-hmm.
There are some really ugly office buildings that have gone up recently.
Oh, really? That's too bad. Would you characterize the population as liberal or conservative or somewhere in between?
I would say liberal or in between, but certainly I don't think it's a conservative population.
What types of churches do you have in the community?
In Newton Upper Falls, there are three. There are the Catholic, Baptist, and the Methodist.
Do you think there's one that is more dominant?
I think the largest population goes to the Catholic Church. That's very interesting. This church in Newton Upper Falls originally started out as St. Mary's was the name of it, and it was the first church in the city of Newton.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Newton Upper Falls is one of the very oldest villages in the city.
What's the name of the church?
Mary Immaculate of Lourdes.
Oh, that's pretty neat. So that was the very first church? That is really neat. When you're talking about Upper Falls, do you identify it as Upper Falls or Newton, or does it?
It depends. When I write my address, I write Newton 02164. But if you're talking to someone from another part of the city and you say, where do you live? They would say the village, and I would say the village.
Oh, I see. I see what you're saying.
Although we're all Newtonites, we all identify with our own village.
Does your village have a name?
Newton Upper Falls.
Oh, I see what you're saying. But what's another village? Wobbin?
Wobbin, Newton Highlands, Newton Lower Falls, Newton Center, Newtonville, goes on and on. Chestnut Hill.
Gosh. Do you think that the community is close-knit in Upper Falls, in this village?
To a degree, I think years ago it was more close-knit. Right now, there is a different group of people moving in. There are a lot of well, if I can use the word yuppies, coming in, because in Newton Upper Falls, which is a more moderate, economically speaking, a more moderate place to live, houses are a little cheaper. People are buying older Victorian houses in Newton Upper Falls and renovating them, and a different element of people are coming in. Young people starting out trying to get their first home with young families, and I think they're going to become interested in the village.
How did you meet your husband?
I was sitting on Craigville Beach in Hyannis, or Hyannis Port, and a fellow that I knew my husband and introduced us.
And so then you just went on a date, or you just met on the beach?
Right.
How long did you date?
3 years.
3 years? And you have 3 children?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of something that I was going to ask you. Are you glad that you've lived in Newton Upper Falls? Do you ever consider the possibility of moving?
I've thought about it, but I'm not sure I would actually ever do anything about it. If I moved, I would probably move to the Cape. But I've thought about it. But
are you glad that you've lived here?
Yes, I've had a nice life here in Newton.
Do you think that you would do the same again if you had it to do over?
Probably. But years ago, we should have bought a place on the Cape, which we didn't. But
do you find that there are different classes in Newton, or do you think that there's more just one class? How do you look at Newton as far as wealth and?
Newton is a wealthy city. I think there's a lot of wealth in Newton. I guess there's poverty in Newton too. I'm sure there is. But I would say that there are But Newton is composed mostly of professional people.
Mhm.
Mostly. There are a lot of professional people
Yeah.
in the city.
But so you think it's more on the wealthy, leaning on the wealthy side?
I would say so. I mean, it's very difficult to buy a house in Newton in fact, I heard one real estate person say that her heart ached for young couples who were wanting to buy a house and had maybe just $100,000 to invest in a house because
So-
there wouldn't be a house in the city of Newton to show them for
Oh,
$100,000. Everything is.
Do you think that there are other people with different backgrounds, or you think it's mostly Catholics and Protestants?
Oh no! We have a large Jewish element. No, I think it's a very diverse.
Well, I really can't. That's pretty much everything that I wanted to ask you. Now that we had to do this twice. Thank you very much, Mrs. Hogan, for the interview.
It's been fun.
It's been fun meeting you and talking to you. I really appreciate it.